Final game before the All-Star break. That is one, Kyle Neubeck. And Kyle, there's a lot to talk about, but I have to say it because I think we were holding ourselves back by I'm sitting behind you, and we saw the Ricky experience stuff happening live instead of on television like the last couple of games. And I'm just saying it because we didn't make eye contact or anything, but it was you just knew. We knew
there was
that I wanted to look at you. You wanted to look back. You wanted to look at me, but we couldn't say go get him, Rick, on the press row at all.
Yeah, they tell you you're not supposed to do a whole lot on press row. I don't think a go get him, Rick would have been exactly kosher with everybody else. But to your point, Devon, another good outing for him, to the point that my thought in the, I guess, early fourth quarter of that game was it's going to be some tough conversations had coming out of this break because, look, he went from no role at all to he's like a fan favorite already. I tweeted it during the game that he was asked, those 15-second clips.
I brought this up earlier because I saw your tweet. It was great. Please say it better than I did.
Okay, so if you've been to a Sixers game or if you haven't, they do these 15-second mini quizzes where they say, hey, name as many vegetables as you can or as many toys as you can, just very broad categories. So The category tonight was Marvel characters. And Ricky Council gets through about 6. He gets like Thor and Spider-Man and whatever. And then right as his time is up, he looks at the camera and he smiles and he goes, me. And I just was like absolutely dying. It was so on brand for a guy who we were talking about had his moment in the sun and then is crushing the doubters and the non-believers. Yeah. But on a serious note, another good performance tonight. And to touch on Derek, something Derek has said in the past, the decision making is the most important part, right? Like, we see the tools, we see him getting to the free throw line. He made a 3 tonight, although his shooting was kind of wild in general. But the important thing is he's able to play with that level of physicality and that edge, but it doesn't ever feel like he's that out of control, right? Like, there are some transition possessions where he gets out ahead of the pack tonight and he still has the presence of mind to say, no shot there, pull it out, give it to Tyrese Maxey, give it to somebody else. Got a couple of assists, one on a drop off to Paul Reed on a drive. So for a young guy who this is probably going to be his one real chance all year to make an impression in the rotation, there is absolutely no guarantee he will continue to play out of the break. For him to be about the right things and show the coaches and his teammates that's something that'll endear you to a whole lot of people in the organization.
And you know what, man? I was saying to Derek before you came on, at some point, even with the little minutes that he may get coming back from the All-Star break, when the players start to come back and they get more of the full roster, he's going to catch a body at some point in the paint where there's so much attention with the other players that they're supposed to be, and he's going to cut the middle of the paint or cut baseline, and he's going to get somebody.
He damn near caught somebody with a couple plays in the last few games. So
he did it before these big minutes. We would sit back here and watch it, and we're like, oh, that's where kind of the go get him Rick came from in 5-minute spurts that he's getting at the end of the fourth quarter where the game is already in hand, or even a 12-minute run where the Sixers are blowing out a team, Detroit or Washington or whatever it was. And we've seen it where it's there. We saw it in Arkansas. And it's just, my guess and just sharing it with you guys because we've become the podcast of Ricky Council. He's going to get somebody at some point. But, I just wanted to say that.
I just hope he continues to play. Give the kid a chance, especially if Kelly Oubre looks like he has never played basketball before, which is kind of how it felt tonight.
Kyle, what the hell happened defensively?
Well, it doesn't help that they have a lot of poor defenders in the rotation and that one of them is a guy who, actually 2 of them are guys who hadn't played with this group until last Friday night. So I'd say first and foremost, I want to say, and Tyrese had a big performance in the stat line, all that. He's going to All-Star weekend. I don't want to be too much of a buzzkill. He was absolutely horrendous at the point of attack. I thought Tyler Hero beat him up pretty good. So that was point number 1. Point number 2, the off-ball awareness was bad. I thought Buddy was a big culprit there. Derek and I sat next to each other before both of you left and saw them get back cut on the baseline just over and over and over again.
It seemed
for
like
a
6 straight
stretch.
possessions. It was wild.
Yeah, it was Jaquez, it was Haywood Highsmith. I believe there was even one for Hero at one point. So just a whole lot of back cutting that guys are falling asleep, losing track of their man. And look, like we could sit here and say they're going to have to outscore teams right now because they don't have the defensive personnel to consistently get stops. But that's low-hanging fruit. You can't – it's one thing like, hey, you have crappy defenders and they get blown by or blown through by bigger guys. Can't keep up with them, whatever. But you can't fall asleep off the ball. So that's something that needs to be tightened up a little bit. And then, of course, I'm sure you guys have talked about this tonight, the rebounding is a constant problem, right? And that is part of defense. I know we talk about it a lot of the time as a separate category because it is such a big stat, but defensive rebounding is the only way without a turnover that you end a possession, right? So if you can't finish the possession, it doesn't matter if your rotations were good, doesn't matter if the man defense was good, if you beat guys to spots, whatever, you have to close it out. And so they did a poor job of that. Again, some of it personnel. That final important possession they had, they got guys like Tyrese and Campaign, Buddy Hield at 6'4", out there on the floor together. And they're also scrambling, they're doubling, they're doing things to get the ball out of certain guys' hands. But that was a big problem, certainly late in the game, cost them big time.
Yeah, that face guard, KJ Martin, he was trying to face guard and box out, and Jaime Jaquez comes weak side and gets that offensive rebound, put back dunk. And, you know, some of those things is you don't have the big bodies out there on the floor. There's some different personnel things that are happening, and you get caught that way. And then the other one, the Bam Adebayo rebound there to really secure it, and where he knocked down those free throws, he was just tipping it to himself because, to your point, Campaign is right there. Tyrese Maxey is right there, and they were not out jumping him. That was like me trying to get the rebound over those guys at that point.
Yeah. So listen, they have to gang rebound. There just is no other option. They don't have the tallest guy on the floor. I can't remember. I'm blanking on his name right now. I had a diehard in my Twitter mentions after the game saying, this is a diehard requesting a Mo Bamba rant. And I don't have a whole lot to say about Mo Bamba after that one. He wasn't good, obviously, but when he's the tallest guy, on your team, and he is not only not helping with rebounding, but is actively hurting you a lot of the time, you can't really expect a group of like 6 foot to 6'4" guards to make up for whatever you don't have at the wing and center spots. So it's one of the reasons that I think Ricky has been able to stand out, right? Like he comes in the game, not only is he going up and getting them, as we talk about all the time, Devon, 2 hands on that damn ball.
Yes, sir.
He's going up and he is claiming that thing. So they need some more of that in terms of the approach, but it's going to be tough sledding until they get Joel Embiid back.
What did you think of Matt Cord's performance?
Well, it was up and down at times, but I think if you consider that he said introducing Mo Bamba number 5, then 10 out of 10, A+.
Just want to make sure, because you did put that in the ugly section of your post-game column, so I just wanted to make sure.
Well, Derek, regular readers of the good, the bad, the ugly sections would know the ugly is for the miscellaneous, as well as the complaints. Certainly there are complaints and reffing issues that get thrown in there, but that's also for the odds and ends. So I appreciate your concern on behalf of Matt Cord.
Just wanted to make sure.
I did give him a firm attaboy, Matt, for Bamba number 5.
And by the way, Mo Bamba is going to be number 5. Kyle Lowry is going to take number 7 once he does get out there on the floor. Buddy Hield, another good game, but it looked like at the end, playing 44 minutes, that he took one tough shot, left wing when they were down about 6. Thought he forced that one actually with about 3 and some change to go, trying to get 6 points in one shot. And but overall, another good game. Just ran out of gas, as I said to Derek a little before you came on. Otherwise, he was pretty good again.
Yeah, and look, I think it stood out that he forced up a shot or two at the end because he hasn't really been forcing shots since he got here. Double-digit assist game tonight. He actually was told while he's at the podium tonight that he's one of 4 Sixers ever to have 10 assists and 5 made threes, along with Tyrese, Iverson, and James Harden. And he was like, why would you tell me that stat? Like jokingly, obviously. But look, I think 5 turnovers to go with that, granted, with the 10 assists. So there were definitely some costly ones in there. But they're not going to ask him to be a primary-ish playmaker when they have a fully healthy roster, right? And he talked a lot tonight about, I just simply been asked to do more things here than I did in Indiana. Like in Indiana, Halliburton had the ball and deserved to have the ball and was able to do so much that all I really had to focus on is get here, take the threes, beat closeouts, whatever. And so it's been nice to see him expand the range and show us a little bit more, but that'll shrink eventually. And so the bad things that we saw, which frankly I thought were few and far between tonight and the last few nights, we could probably argue that those will dwindle as he gets the fewer opportunities to play make. And it's just good that they can turn to him to this stuff, that they can say, hey, buddy, we're going to put you in a DHO with Joel, and we trust you to make the right read. Or, hey, with Joel on the bench, we can run a pick and roll with Paul Reed, who he's got plenty of chemistry with already. I thought there was a really nice sequence in the first half tonight where ball came to him, pump faked to get around a closeout. He steps in, and instead of taking a mid-range or a tough runner with Bam Adebayo patrolling, he found KJ Martin on the other side of the rim. KJ gets an easy layup. And that's the type of unselfishness, the ball movement that it takes to beat playoff defenses, I think, right? Like everybody can make an open shot for the most part, guys that are high-end rotation players. But when they take that away, when teams aggressively close out and switch and do whatever, can you make the 3 quick decisions in succession in order to get that basket? So I have seen some great stuff from Buddy, hoping that continues moving forward, obviously.
Did you get anything at the end of the game more on Tyrese Maxey? I know it's the All-Star break, but he's playing in the All-Star game, and he tweaked his ankle in the third quarter. Did come back, but anything more on that post-game?
So what Nurse said was that he had to get his ankle rewrapped after rolling it a little bit. And when I actually walked with Tyrese from the locker room to the podium tonight, and he had wraps on his ankle still afterward, and he had gone through a post-game workout, I believe. So clearly bothering him at least a little bit. But when we asked him about it at the podium, he basically said it was fine. He was good enough to be out there and did not sound at all concerned about All-Star or anything else. So
he's not missing that.
Yeah, no. He's going to be out there and participating and soaking it all in. He actually made a joke because he did participate in Rising Stars a couple of years back. And he goes, I just got my schedule for All-Star today. And he goes, man, they didn't make us do all this for Rising Stars. And it was like, yeah, buddy, this is the big stage now. You got to go and talk to people from like Japan and Greece and whatever who are going to be like, hey, say hi to all your fans overseas, or like asking them what his favorite pizza topping is, or just like, all the crazy stuff that you get at All-Star that you wouldn't get on a normal night. So it's going to be, I'm excited for him. Another attached to that, by the way, Nick Nurse actually said he will be at All-Star this weekend, is going in support of Tyrese, is not taking time off or a break. He'll be back, Monday, I guess, and then they probably get back to it Tuesday or Wednesday. So a nice show of support from Nurse for Tyrese.
We all silly like the mayor.